Hello everyone, I hope you're having a peaceful day. Have you ever thought that sometimes what we believe is lost might simply be finding its way back to us? Today, join me for the story Diep and Haki, the day her little dog found his way home. A story that reminds us happiness doesn't always come from grand things, but from a single, quiet moment. When we finally see what we love return to us. And if you believe that true love always finds its way home, don't forget to subscribe and continue this journey of healing with me. Morning wrapped the little farm in a veil of pale golden light, soft and tender like honeyed mist. Sunlight streamed gently through the gaps in the old wooden walls, scattering thin ribbons of brightness across the dusty floor. Dust motes floated lazily in the air, like tiny lost stars wandering through daylight. The world was quiet, so quiet that one could hear the sigh of the wind, the distant clucking of hens, the faint creak of the animal pens, as if the place itself was breathing in sorrow. And there was Diep, dressed in simple farm clothes, her hair tied back, hands moving steadily as she weeded and cleaned the garden. After so many days away, the farm had fallen into neglect. These days she spent every waking moment trying to bring it back to life. Her face carried a hint of sadness. Sometimes her eyes drifted far, toward the winding paths beyond the hills. She was looking for Haki. Haki, the little dog she loved like her own child, had not been seen since the day she returned. No paw prints, no bark, no trace. She had searched everywhere, from the forest edge to the riverbank, even to the village market. She asked every passerby, every shepherd boy, but everyone only shook their heads. At night, she would sit on the porch, her voice hoarse from calling into the dark. Only the crickets answered. The road remained empty, swallowed by silence. Diep still remembered those mornings when the air was thick with dew, the roof tiles glistening wet, and the smell of damp earth filled the air. Every dawn, when she opened the door, Haki was there, tail wagging so hard his whole body wobbled with joy. He'd circle around her feet, bark softly as if to say, "Good morning." If she bent down, he'd leap into her arms, lick her hands, then dash off to fetch a slipper or a tuft of grass, proudly showing off his prize until she laughed out loud. On hot summer afternoons, Haki would sprawl beneath the grapefruit tree, panting softly but never taking his eyes off her. Each time she called his name, he'd lift his head, tail swaying in gentle response, always ready, always waiting. With Haki around, the days felt fuller, the house more alive. But now, a deep emptiness had crept into every breath she took. Her heart felt heavy, like a stone lodged deep within her chest. Every movement she made felt like her body was trying to remember what her heart had forgotten. The wind blew softly, carrying the scent of dried grass and damp soil. The creak of the old door hinge echoed faintly, a sigh in the stillness. And then, in that fragile silence, a sound broke through. Sharp, clear, familiar. A bark. That sound pierced the air, sharp, brief, yet enough to make Diep's heart stop. She froze. That bark, she knew it deep in her soul, the way a heart recognizes its own rhythm. The bucket in her hand slipped, rolling across the ground with a hollow clang. Without a second thought, she ran, feet pounding across the yard, sunlight splintering around her. The wind tangled her hair, her sleeves streaked with mud, breath catching in her throat. Before her stretched the golden field, glowing under the morning sun, endless, shimmering like a sea of light. And there, between the tall grass swaying in the breeze, a small shadow moved. Haki, she gasped, voice trembling. Is that you, Haki? Her words broke apart, scattering into the air, but the little shadow heard. A tail began wagging, wild and frantic. Then, through the sunlight and dust, a tiny body came bounding toward her, muddy, thin, but alive. It was like a beam of light breaking through a storm, carrying both hope and memory. Diep fell to her knees in the mud, arms trembling as she reached out. Haki crashed into her embrace, warm, real, alive, and in that instant the world disappeared. She held him tightly, tears bursting free, falling onto his dirty fur and the earth beneath them. Haki, I thought I'd lost you forever, she whispered, voice quivering between sobs. The little dog looked up, whimpered softly, then licked her cheek. That gentle touch saying what words never could. I'm here. Under the vast open sky, two fragile souls clung to each other, trembling, crying, and finally, home again. After the tears had fallen, Diep sat still for a moment, long enough for her heart to catch up and truly believe that this was real. A soft smile curved her lips as she reached out to stroke Haki's head. His fur was matted with dust. A few small scratches ran along his side, yet his eyes, those bright, loyal eyes, still shone with life. His tiny tail wagged nonstop, as if trying to tell her all the stories he had kept to himself during the long days apart. Where have you been, Haki? She whispered gently. Of course, there was no answer. But in his gaze, shimmering and full of warmth, she could read everything. The waiting, the searching, the quiet hope that refused to die. Perhaps all this time he had never truly left. Perhaps he had stayed near the farm, circling the empty yard, waiting for her scent to return, listening for her voice. And this morning, when he finally heard it, that familiar call breaking through the air, he ran. He ran with all his might, as if afraid that 1 second slower, he might lose her again. The red dirt road led Diep back to the familiar porch of her home. The late afternoon sunlight slanted through the rows of areca palms, casting golden hues over the old brick steps. Everything around her felt the same, calm, gentle. Only her heart now carried an extra rhythm of peace. Just then, James appeared at the gate, squinting against the sun, his face breaking into a radiant smile the moment he saw her. Emotions surged so fast he could barely find words. All he managed to breathe out was, "Oh my God, Haki." He dropped to his knees, running his trembling hands over the little dog's dusty fur. Haki barked softly, then buried his head into James's palms, as if recognizing an old friend. James laughed through a shaky breath, scolding affectionately. "Do you know how many tears your owner cried because of you, huh?" His laughter was bright, filled with warmth. Diep stood there, watching the two men in her life, one human, one small and loyal. Her eyes blurred again, but this time, the tears were only from happiness. The last light of day cast a golden hue across the courtyard, gently painting Diep's face with a soft pink glow. The cicadas had quieted. Only the rustle of leaves remained, a tender, melancholy melody of the fading afternoon. Haki lay curled up in the corner, his breathing calm and warm, occasionally lifting his head as if sensing something unseen. James reached into his pocket and pulled out a new phone, smiling as he handed it to Diep. She blinked in surprise, her voice trembling with emotion. "Thank you. You've already given me so much." James shook his head, his gaze steady and full of warmth. "Don't say that. You deserve the best, Diep. And if anything ever happens, call me, okay?" The sun had completely set behind the distant trees. Only a few faint streaks of light lingered on the horizon, the last golden threads of the day. Diep rested her head on James's shoulder, while Haki lay peacefully at their feet, his little tail twitching in his sleep. That moment was so simple, and yet, perhaps it's the simple moments like this that people spend a lifetime searching for. Because sometimes happiness doesn't come with noise. It arrives quietly, in a warm glance, in a shared silence, and in the realization that you are no longer alone.